Despite getting their teeth kicked in by the Baltimore Ravens today, I believe that the Denver Broncos still need to be active on the trade market ahead of Tuesday's deadline, but only under the right circumstances. The main argument against being active at the trade deadline that I've seen from Broncos fans and pundits is that they should hold on to their draft capital and try to use it to be active in free agency in the draft this coming year in order for them to be more competitive next season. But if you break it down, even after the Broncos lost today, they're still in pole position to make the playoffs. If it ended today, the Broncos would still be the 7th seed. They would still be in the dance. The Broncos are trying to build up this team for the next 2, 3, 4 years, certainly, but they're in position to make the playoffs this year. If the Broncos were to make a trade, this trade would have to be one that would not only help the Broncos make the playoffs this year, but it would also have to be one that would benefit the Broncos 2, 3 years down the line. And there aren't many trades out there that the Broncos could make that would fit this category, but there is one that I've been pounding the table for the last several weeks. By the title and thumbnail, you guys know who it is. It's David Njoku. Njoku, at just 28 years old, is still in the prime of his career. He could be tight end 1 for the Denver Broncos for the next 2, 3 years. He could be a consistent, dependable weapon for Bo Nix for these next coming years. This Broncos offense proved today that they need another weapon. And I'll say this, little Jordan Humphrey is in essence a tight end for this team. That's really what he is. And if the Broncos were to trade for a guy like David Njoku, he could replace little Jordan Humphrey's production and quite frankly be an improvement over Humphrey. Humphrey is the Broncos' best blocking receiver, and that's the argument against benching him right now. If you were going to go out and trade for a guy like David Njoku, then you wouldn't have to worry about little Jordan Humphrey being in the lineup save for certain situations. So I feel like, as my cat is scratching, I feel like that would be a perfect move for the Denver Broncos because, again, Njoku could be a cost-effective option as the years go on. The Broncos could sign him to an extension and they could kick a lot of that money down the line into the next several years. They have a way to make this work financially. They really do. So David Njoku is probably the number 1 trade candidate for the Denver Broncos at this point in time. I think that tight end is the position that they really need to strive to improve on. I've also said wide receiver and running back as well. But tight end is the position that the Denver Broncos still are looking for a guy to step up. We saw Adam Troutman step up last week, and then this week, once again, he put up a big old L. So the Broncos really need some consistent production from the tight end unit, and I think that David Njoku could be a guy who could provide that level of production. So the Denver Broncos, what would they be willing to give up for David Njoku? I think that you could probably get the job done for a conditional 6th round pick, something along those lines. You could probably make things work, make the Browns be willing to part ways with David Njoku for the right price. I think that the Broncos could be interested in parting ways with one certain player in particular at the trade deadline. I'm sorry, my cat is up on my countertop. He's distracting me, but I think there's one player that the Denver Broncos could be looking at possibly trading as we get closer to the deadline here. And if that happens, the Broncos could essentially flip the capital that they acquire for this player. I'm going to make a video on him, so I don't want to say who it is, but if the Broncos acquire capital for this player, they could essentially flip it for David Njoku, and it would be kind of a washout for this team. So that's kind of my line of thinking here. I still think that the Broncos should be active at the trade deadline, but it's only got to be a move that makes sense for this team long term as opposed to short term. I do agree that the Broncos shouldn't spend resources in terms of draft capital on a player that's only going to help them this year. But David Njoku could help them for multiple years. That is why I am such a big proponent of trading for Njoku. All right, Broncos country, let me know in the comment section below. Do you still think that the Broncos should be interested in trading for David Njoku despite losing today? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.